Whether he is your GOAT or not, there's no denying the greatness of Tom Brady, a player that has completely shattered the expectations that were bestowed upon him as a 6th round pick in the 2000 NFL Draft, and arguably the greatest player of all time. Today we're going to dive into multiple stories that prove that Tom Brady was not your average human being. And from these stories, hopefully you guys could learn something about his work ethic and what makes him so great. Before we get to that, guys, I'd just like to remind you that I live stream on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Pacific time. And without further ado, break! The first story I want to discuss was told by a close friend of Tom Brady's during his days at Michigan, and it has to do with Drew Henson. Now, if you guys don't know who Drew Henson is, he is a player that was the quarterback of the Michigan squad before Tom Brady took over the reins for him. And obviously, Tom Brady, being the competitive guy he is, was a little bit bitter that Drew Henson was taking snaps over him. But at the same time, Drew Henson was considered to be the next John Elway, the next big quarterback prospect, and the fact that he was on Michigan's squad made it a no-brainer to start him over Tom Brady. And Jay brought up this one, and Tom had 2 fouls at the time. So Tom Brady says to me, "Beav, next time we're inbounding the ball, I'm going to throw it to you and just run up the court and don't look behind you. Just sprint." So Tommy inbounds the ball to me, I run up the court, and I hear this awful noise behind me. Tom said it's Wayne Gretzky beating up a goon, or when Larry Bird went up to Bill Laimbeer. I'm pretty sure after that, nobody brought up Drew Henson again, and considering the fact that Tom Brady's NFL and professional career went significantly better than Drew Henson's, I feel like this isn't anything that really bothers him anymore. But Mike Vrabel had another fascinating story about Tom Brady, and for those of you guys that didn't know, Mike Vrabel is currently the coach of the Tennessee Titans, but during his time with the New England Patriots from the 2001 to 2008 season, there was a brief period of time where Vrabel was actually placed on the Patriots goal line offense squad. And according to Vrabel, he said, "I had maybe caught a couple of touchdowns and was feeling pretty good about myself. So we went to practice one day and I broke free on a crossing route or something like that. So I start yelling, 'Tom, Tom, Tom,' and I'm waving my hands because I'm wide open. But Tom doesn't throw it to me. I come back and we're in the huddle when he says, 'Mikey, if you ever wave your hands and ask for the ball again, I'll never throw it to you. I know who's open. I'm the quarterback. I'll throw it to whoever I want.' That was the last time I ever called for the ball." Tom Brady's intensity seems to be a consistent theme throughout all these stories, because up next, Rodney Harrison brings up Tom Brady's work ethic and his approach to weight training and just training in general. Rodney Harrison was the safety of the New England Patriots from the 2003 season to the 2008 season, and according to him, he says, "This was when I first got to New England. We had become friends and we were in the weight room. I show up around 6:30 in the morning and he says to me, 'Good afternoon.' So the next day, I kind of took the hint and come in maybe 15 minutes earlier, same thing. He says, 'Good afternoon.' And then the next day, it's 5:45 in the morning and he makes sure to say it twice, 'Good afternoon, good afternoon.' So I make it at 5:30 the next day, and before he could say anything to me, I looked at him and said, 'Man, I don't give a damn what you say, Tom. I'm not coming in earlier than 5:30. And we both laughed at that. If you think Tom Brady's work ethic is remarkable, wait until you see how competitive he is about the most mundane things about life. It's kind of similar to Michael Jordan's approach to competitiveness. Tom Brady, I guess, has a little bit of that in him as well, because according to Brian Hoyer, Tom Brady was even competitive about something as silly as beer chugging. So according to Hoyer, he says that we played up at Buffalo and we couldn't fly back into Boston because the weather was so bad. So we had to stay the night in Rochester. We drove there and we all decided we'd go out to dinner together. Tom, being who he was, he usually couldn't come to a team event like that. We might be at Capitol Grill and he is sneaking in the back door, and then people realize he's there and he has to leave. But this was impromptu at Dinosaur Barbecue in Rochester. The whole team is there, and it turns into a beer chugging contest. The contests include linemen, Julian Edelman, and they all think they're gonna win. And I don't know if you guys know about Julian Edelman's beer chugging resume, but it's also quite impressive. Then someone says, I heard Tom is really great at chugging a beer. We don't usually get to experience him like this, but we finally coax him into doing it. He does it, and let me tell you, you couldn't have poured out the beer faster into a glass. It was unbelievable. And he slams the mug on the table and puts both fists in the air. He walks away with a look on his face that said, "You really thought you were going to beat me on this?" The place went absolutely nuts. And while Tom Brady could be extremely competitive about silly things like chugging beer, and I apologize if I insulted a bunch of frat bros. I wasn't in a frat, so maybe I'm a little bit bitter. There is one part to this video that I feel like the most die-hard Tom Brady fans are going to appreciate, and that's Tom Brady's approach to coming from behind when people did not expect him to make it to where he was. And it has to mainly do with the fact that he took over for a #1 overall pick that was given a maximum contract just in his second year in the league. And this is according to a roommate of his at Michigan. And you have to understand that if you're trying to do something ridiculous, you may elicit this type of reaction from one of your old buddies. I could actually speak for myself. This has happened to me, but this is according to Pat Kratis, his roommate at Michigan. Take a listen to this, man. In his sophomore and junior year, when he was second or third on the depth chart behind Brian Grease and Scott Dreisbach, he was still studying film at 10:30, 11 at night. He was frustrated with not playing, and that's how he channeled it. If I beat him in a game of horse, he'd drop kick a basketball. There was a golf club or two that might have gotten thrown in anger, but for his own sanity, he would always turn those situations into hard work. Whenever you talk to him about the future, he was adamant. I'm going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Here, he was at my bachelor party in March 2001 along with a cousin of mine. Now, something you should know about my cousin is he is a very successful hedge fund guy. And Tom Brady says to him, "You know, I think I have a great shot at being quarterback this year." And then Tom Brady proceeded to lay out this whole plan, talking about some of the things he had to do and what he had going for him. So my cousin comes up to me afterwards and says, "Pat, there's Drew Bledsoe, there's Michael Bishop. What is Tommy even thinking? Hope is not a strategy." Pat's response to this was, "Tommy has always worked really hard at it. He always seems to find a way to do it. I bet you he will be a starting quarterback when it's all said and done." That incredible confidence in oneself is the reason why Tom Brady is probably one of the greatest players of all time. But here's Ty Law, his teammate during those earlier years, reaction to it, and he actually added on to what Pat would say. Ty would mention that when he finally got the job and was named the starter, our thought as a defense was just don't mess it up. I remember us hanging out and he said something to me that to this day still resonates with me. We had a good quarterback in Drew Bledsoe. And here's Tom saying he isn't getting his job back. As a competitor, I was like, this is how you're supposed to think. At the same time, I'm thinking to myself, this is the NFL. This is Drew Bledsoe, a former #1 overall pick with a huge contract. Okay, good luck with that. But Tom didn't look at it that way. It was no disrespect to Drew. He was determined to make it hard on Bill Belichick and Mr. Kraft to put Drew back on the field. The best way I could really compare Tom Brady's situation is, do you remember in the 2019 NFL season when Cam Newton got injured and Kyle Allen came in, and at first Kyle Allen kind of seemed like the real deal? Well, just imagine if Kyle Allen was able to carry the Carolina Panthers all the way to a Super Bowl. That's pretty much what Tom Brady did, and eventually was able to take the future starting quarterback job away from Drew Bledsoe. And a lot of this has to do with his approach in practice, because according to his fellow quarterback, Matt Castle, he was never willing to give up a rep. I remember when I was in practice, Josh McDaniels would be like, "All right, Castle, get in there, you're up." And as soon as he put me in, Tom would be like, no, I want to get this one. I remember having this conversation with him. He said, look, as you play this game, you never want to see somebody else doing your job because everybody is good in this league. Tom Brady makes an excellent point considering the fact that his torn ACL in the beginning of the 2008 season literally gave Matt Castle a career. Castle has made over $65 million over his career as a result of him filling in for Tom Brady in 2008. The Chiefs attempted to make him their franchise quarterback after he had a season with 21 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, and for a short time, he seemed like the real deal. I was actually considering making a video about Matt's fascinating career, so if you want to see that, let me know if you're interested in the comments section down below. Make sure to drop a like. But I'm not going to leave you guys without this final remarkable story that just teaches you about Tom Brady's character. According to Charlie Weis, the former offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots from the 2000 to 2004 season, he says, in 2002, I was going in for gastric bypass surgery. And only a couple of people knew. Tommy was one, Belichick was one, and the plan was to go in on Friday, stay overnight for observation, and then get out the next day unless there were problems. Well, it's Saturday morning and Tommy comes to the hospital to see me. And when he walked in, I was almost dead. I was in intensive care and my blood pressure had dropped as low as 50/30. And I was in really, really bad shape. We hadn't lived up in New England that long and didn't have any family that lived in New England. And my wife, Mara, who was stunned, is trying to figure out how to take care of kids and be at the hospital at the same time. Tommy basically stayed in with my wife most of that weekend until reinforcements could arrive. He was there all day Saturday with her late Saturday night, and then Sunday, I had flatlined a little bit where I was actually dead and they brought me back. What I later learned was that Tommy and my wife had a serious conversation at the time, and he said, I wonder when he comes back after this if he will yell at me any less. And the way my wife told me the story, they both looked at each other and said, nah, that will never happen. That was him trying to get my wife to not go in the tank at a time when he's a young kid and looking at a coach who he's pretty close with almost dead. Those 2 days really changed our family's relationship with Tommy, and from that day and on, he wasn't just the quarterback. There was a bond between Tommy and my wife and our family that had been created on nothing to do with football. Guys, if you want more stories about Tom Brady or any player in NFL history like this, please let me know in the comments section down below, and don't forget to leave a like. I'm your boy Microphone, and I'll catch you guys in our next upload.